All right, guys, our guest tonight is TNA superstar MVP. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing exceptionally well, but I want to make one very big distinction. I'm not a superstar. I'm a professional wrestler.
Yeah, okay, and that's fair. But you know what? You're a little bit different than most professional wrestlers because you also have a vested interest in the company you're working for now. So it's a little bit different for you. Would you agree on that?
Well, I think that's not being fair. Wouldn't you say that all wrestlers have a vested interest in the company they work for?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, but I would think that somebody who is an investor would have a little bit more stock in the company than, say, a guy who just is a contracted employee.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, as a matter of pride, not just, the financial part, as a matter of pride, you have a vested interest in your company, and when you lace up your boots, you want to go out there and put on a product that people are going to say, hey, man, that guy's great, this company's great, and I want to buy tickets to those shows. I want to tune in to that program.
Well,
I think, we all have a vested.
It's a refreshing point of view, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of wrestlers, frankly, who just don't care. We see it a lot with people just up and leaving company. There's a lot of wrestlers in the business right now who are out for number one.
But wait a second. That's the fans' point of view. From a business standpoint, it's real easy from the outside looking in to have an opinion on what's going on. But what a lot of guys don't realize, and I'm talking about fans specifically, is I understand that, you have an emotional investment in the various stars that you choose to support. But at the end of the day, for us, it's a business, and we have to get compensated for what we do. And if, from a business standpoint, we don't feel that our business is being handled properly, then we have to take a stand. And you can go about doing it different ways, but, you don't, when you hear about NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball stars holding out and, it's millionaires against billionaires, that's just one of their fair share. So to say that, somebody doesn't care about their fans, of course he cares about his fans, but at the end of the day, don't forget, it is a business, and business has to be tended to.
Well, listen, you know that I'm talking about CM Punk at this point, just walking out on the WWE. We don't know any of the details of the situation, and you know what, to be honest with you, the way the dirt sheets report nowadays, we may never know the truth. Would you support a guy in your locker room standing up against the authority like this and walking out? Would you stand with him, or would you say, you know what, I don't know if this was the right way to handle this?
Let's look at it this way. I had a year left on my deal, and I asked for a release. I was ready to go. So, would I support? Absolutely. Because, there has to be, you got to remember, like I said, it's a business. And in the case of, WWE, great product, powerful company, and they gave me my opportunity to do all that I've done so far. And I'll be forever grateful. But, they've almost got a monopoly. And they can do pretty much whatever they want. And there are some guys that are going to say, that have said, no, you're not going to do that to me. I'm not going to allow that. And, I'm going to make a decision and then do what I think is right for me. And if, and like I said, as a fan, if you're on the outside looking in, all you know is, hey, that's the guy I want to see every week. But you don't understand the intricacies of what goes on behind the scenes. So it's difficult to form an opinion without all of the information.
That's very fair. But and that's one of the problems with the dirt sheets as well. You get a lot of things being reported that, that aren't true or just pretty much felonious and make no sense.
Well, that's what, I have no respect for the quote-unquote dirt sheets because, these guys want to call themselves journalists, but they're rumor mongers. They report gossip or opinion as fact. For example, when I was going to TNA, they were reporting, that I was confirmed to be in Glasgow, Scotland. Well, as of this minute, I still don't have a contract with TNA. My agents and their lawyers are, crossing T's and dotting I's. So how can you confirm that I'm going to be in Scotland when I don't even have a contract? You can't confirm that. Who's going to confirm that for you? Nobody can confirm that but me. So, I don't put any stock in that because most of the time, it's conjecture.
Okay, let's get to TNA business. TNA's Lockdown pay-per-view is March 9th in Miami, Florida, your hometown. You face off against Team Dixie as the representative of your team, as the captain of your team, pretty much, right? How you have so much on the line in this match, with the wrestling operations and everything. When you head into this match, what are your thoughts heading into this? It's such a big match.
fan. You know what? First and foremost, this will be my first lockdown match. Yeah. And, being that I'm with a new company, but I'm going to my hometown of Miami. And being at the Bank United Center, which is where the Hurricanes play. I'm a lifelong Hurricanes fan. There is a lot of emotion for me, first of all. But second of all, you got two teams of four men locked inside of a cage with weapons, garbage cans, kendo sticks, chairs, you name it. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be dangerous. But fortunately for me, I've been locked in a cage before with weapons, so I have a little experience with that lifestyle. But at the end of the day, Bobby Roode, he's got a 10% stake on the line, and I've got wrestling operations on the line. And I think the best thing that we can do for the TNA fans and wrestlers is to send Dixie back to Dixieland and let a wrestler run the company or the wrestling operation.
Agreed. Mike Chiari, your question?
Yeah, MVP. TNA is currently very much involved with Wrestle One in Japan. You had the one-night-only pay-per-view in Tokyo. Great Muta is scheduled to appear at Lockdown. And as someone who worked a couple of years with New Japan and has a great appreciation for Japanese wrestling, how big is this relationship for TNA in terms of generating more interest in the United States and worldwide also?
I think it's a beautiful relationship. First of all, Muta is, if they ever had a Mount Rushmore, or dare I say a Mount Fuji of legendary wrestlers, you couldn't make that without Muta being on it. And as you said, I'm a huge proponent of Japanese wrestling. I love Japanese wrestling. It's my first love. My dream was to wrestle in Japan. My goal was to wrestle for WWE. So, I know that the talent that they have over there, people haven't been exposed to, is unreal. So, being that there's going to be a talent exchange going on and that we'll be working together, I'm excited about the fact that we'll be able to introduce TNA fans to some amazingly talented Japanese wrestlers, and that's something I'm always for. And TNA right now, we're in a reset mode, and we're trying to reestablish the brand with fresh faces and to make it feel fresh and new. And one of the ways to do that is to bring in young, exciting talent from wherever you can get. And I know some of the best talent in the world wrestles in Japan, so I'm excited about it.
BG?
MVP, can you give the listeners some insight into your experience wrestling in Japan and the major difference between wrestling there compared to wrestling in the United States?
Well, wrestling in Japan is still presented more as a sport and less as a spectacle. Kayfabe is still very much observed over there. And I guess one of the biggest differences that American wrestling would notice is that in Japanese wrestling, you don't have long, drawn-out promo segments. You don't have a lot of backstage soap opera-esque scenes. It's challenge, fight, and everybody's fighting for a title. And you have angles and feuds, but it's more about guys fighting in the ring and post-match interviews than it is, as I said, soap opera-esque drama. And the drama and the stories are told in the ring through action. Japanese style is a lot more physical, some would say stiffer, and it's, at the end of the day, the fans there, they're different. And when you watch a match, a lot of the time, people who haven't watched Japanese wrestling before are surprised because early on the crowds are very quiet. And it's because they're watching. And you can do a series of reversals, escape, and you get applause from the crowd because they understand. Okay, reverse, escape. And over here, fans have been conditioned differently. So they're not quite so impressed by a series of reversals. And it's just a matter of culture and conditioning. But I think those are probably some of the biggest differences in fans.
All right, let's jump back to TNA for a minute here. Austin Aries was supposed to be one of the key members of your team at Lockdown. He turned heel, attacked you at the end of this week's Impact Wrestling. Let's talk to me about how you feel about a guy like Austin Aries, a top guy in the business, turning on you, and what your plan is once you take power, if you win, what you will do to a guy like Austin Aries.
Well, it's It's funny because Austin and I, we actually met years ago, I think on an indie show, an FIP show. So we chilled instantly. We hit it off. And, I know Austin is a tremendous talent. He is very self-centered, and he's going to do what he feels is best for him, as he made very clear to me. And that's cool, because I'm going to do what's best for me. And at Lockdown, when my team wins control of wrestling operations, I'm going to make Austin Aries' life miserable. Absolutely miserable. Not saying that I won't be fair as far as the playing field goes, but, if Austin wants to regain my respect and my trust in some measure, he's going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to do it. And we know Austin Aries isn't the guy that enjoys jumping through hoops. So we're going to see how that unfolds.
Mike Chiari?
TNA is clearly experiencing a bit of a youth movement of sorts right now with guys like Magnus and EC3 at the top of the card. And while you're personally new to the company, you're a veteran in the business. So do you feel any type of responsibility to kind of help these guys along in terms of becoming top established stars?
Wow, that's a good question. One of the things that attracted me to TNA, and one of the reasons that I chose to go there, was that they expressed to me that they did want to do somewhat of a reset, and that they wanted to bring in fresh faces and create new, younger stars. And I think they've already, to some extent, established that, with guys like the Wolves and, as you said, Magnus and EC3 and some other talent that they've got on their wish list and that they've been talking to. And, with my experience, I try to give it where it's asked for. And unfortunately, guys like EC3 and guys like the Wolves and some of the guys that, they respect the fact that I've been around and that I am a veteran in the business. And I try to give it, I love pro wrestling. I love the craft of pro wrestling. And I just want to be the best. Every time I go out, I want to work with the best, and I want everybody around me to want to be the best. So if somebody comes to me and asks for some advice or criticism or what have you, I have no issue with giving it to them, because at the end of the day, we all win, and ultimately the fans win. And, that's what it's all about.
BG?
Yeah, I want to get back to the lockdown match, because you've been involved in a lot of multi-man matches before, such as Money in the Bank. But how do you prepare for a match such as Lockdown that features so many people inside a steel cage?
I don't think you can prepare for it. You can only prepare for it mentally, and I guess that goes into, just expecting the unexpected. Because as you said, when you've got 8 men in a cage with weapons, the threat can come from anywhere. So you can only hope that those other 3 guys are watching your back, and you can only do your best to watch their back. But, there's garbage cans and chairs and kendo sticks, and that cage is like a cheese shredder. So, that's one of the hardest things to do, because if you're in a regular match, in a singles match, then you can say, okay, I'm taking on Kurt Angle. Let me go watch tapes of Kurt Angle and work on my cardio. Okay, I'm taking on Samoa Joe. Let me watch tapes. But in this case, you can watch tapes of previous lockdown matches, but at the end of the day, it's just essentially a gang fight in the cage. And, I don't think there is a way to prepare for that. You just have to go in there and be more brutal than the guys you're facing.